Hello, my name is Sarah Stave. I'm here with Sarah Goodwin, our resident expert on religious studies, to discuss the intersection of religion and behavioral science. Behavioral science uses heuristics to describe the science of how humans behave and make decisions. Through this talk, we will try to understand how religion influences human behaviors, as well as how behavioral heuristics influence how religion is both conceptualized and how it's lived. Welcome, Sarah, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. It's always fun to talk with you.
So just as a starting point, religion is defined, or it can be defined at least, as a set of beliefs and practices that a group of people choose to follow. Behavioral science tells us that humans make irrational decisions based on belief bias. Belief bias, of course, is that if humans believe something sounds possible, they will buy into the logic that leads into it. So tell me, how do these two things impact each other?
Okay, well, the first thing I want to do right off the bat is just have a little disclaimer. Like you said, defining religion is difficult, and there are a lot of ways to do that, some of which are very broad and would include your CrossFit class, and others of which are very narrow and would only include a small sect of one particular religion. So I want to just say that, you know, when we're talking here, I'm going to be talking in some very broad and general terms. Not here to judge religion or religions generally or specifically, but we are trying to look at a few of the many ways that decision heuristics play a role in this gigantic part of human life and culture. So you mentioned belief bias, where people believe something sounds possible and so they buy in. Many decisions regarding religion are not rational, just like any other part of human existence. It's, even though saying that religion is a choice makes it sound like maybe we could sit down with pros and cons and make a decision in a rational way, that's not how people tend to do it. So one of the things religion does is say, look, we can make a convincing argument for this particular idea, and that should be enough for you, that you should now believe what we're telling you. Critical thinking is sometimes, not always, but sometimes discouraged by religions, especially institutional religion. And so they don't want people to think critically. They don't want people to be using the scientific method. They want people to just hear it and believe it. And also on the idea of choice, while it's true that people can choose to follow or participate in a religion, for many people who are raised in a particular faith, the worldview that they're given as children is so prevalent in their lives that they may not even see that that is a choice. It may just be the truth of how the world is for them. They may not be able to conceive of other ways of looking at the world, which sometimes is a thing that religion does on purpose, that there are religions that say, do not mix with other people of other faiths, do not talk to people of other faiths, do not listen, because they don't want to have people doubting or questioning what they're being taught. Confirmation bias is another heuristic that can play a role here. Confirmation bias says that humans interpret evidence in a way that confirms their preconceptions while ignoring or avoiding contradictory evidence. Mm-hmm. So even when people of one particular faith are faced with evidence or ideas from other faiths or from science or other worldviews, they may just reject that out of hand because it does not fit with the worldview they already have, and it's coming from someone else who is outside of their own belief structure.
And I'm thinking that might also have to do with people seeing signs that confirm what's going on. You know, people seeing religious icons in their toast or in the clouds. Would that also fall under that?
I think it would, yes, and that would also fall under, oh, I'm going to probably get the heuristic wrong. I think it's salience, where you see things more often, and so you see things happening and you think that they're happening for a reason, or that there is a meaning there. And a purpose to those occurrences that may or may not be there. They may just be happening more frequently coincidentally.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
So sorry, I didn't mean to take you off thought there.
That's okay.
Okay, so now there are many other there are many other heuristics and biases that also play a role in religion. Let's talk about some more of them since we're on this roll here. How about in-group bias and distinction bias? Those would have groups believe that they're special and that they should stick together. How does it relate to many religious stated beliefs that the golden rule of that, how is it that it's about sticking together, but it's also about loving, thy neighbor as themselves, essentially?
Right. Well, there are lots of questions that religion tries to answer, and one of those questions is, who are we? So pretty much all religions define themselves as a group that is different and separate in some way from other groups. So distinction bias is about saying when you look at things side by side, you're going to see more differences. And so religions may even set themselves up in that way and say, we are the people who do these things that other people don't do. Or even better, we are the people who do not do the things that these other people do. Kosher and halal rules are a good example there. We are the people who do not eat these foods. Groups that say we are the people who do not drink alcohol. Everybody else does that, but we don't. We are the people who don't dance. Everybody else dances and we don't. And then once you've defined your group, then you get into the in-group bias sorts of ideas. You've got the in-group, you've got the out-group, and you have all kinds of heuristics that can drive decisions and behaviors. In-group bias says humans give preference to those perceived to be members of their own group versus members of other groups. So those are the people you're going to want to listen to, the people you like, the people who you are more tolerant and forgiving towards. Another one that works really well here is ultimate attribution error, where humans blame the negative behavior of other groups on some sort of inherent flaw in that group or those people. But then any negative behavior in their own group, they attribute to circumstance. So we are the good people who sometimes make mistakes. They are the people who do bad things because they're bad people. And so that
also like actor observer bias, it's the same kind of idea.
Yeah, it's actor observer bias for groups. So it really comes into play there. And then the fascinating part, because it is sort of a cognitive dissonance, is that there are religions that then ask people to fight against some of these heuristics at the same time. And you mentioned the golden rule, which is a great one. I think okay, for those who maybe don't know, the golden rule is the term used usually in Christianity for an idea that's in a lot of religions that says basically you should be treating other people the way you would like to be treated. I think right there, we're fighting empathy gap. Empathy gap says humans can't fully relate to other people's emotions, and they underestimate how much people are affected by their emotions. The golden rule is saying, think about how it feels when you're treated in a certain way, and then change your behavior and treat other people based on, that imagination of how it would feel to be treated that way. So that's it's fighting directly against empathy gap. As far as, in-group bias, we just talked about how that can be used to separate groups of people, but then there are religions that are saying things like, welcome the stranger, treat the foreigner the same way you treat everybody else in your country, even things as far as like, love your enemies, like saying people of other groups shouldn't be treated as less than people in your own group. So that tension is there. And I think if you look at members of of different religions, you'll find some people are more interested in one of those sides than the other. You'll find some people who are much more interested in the "this is my in-group, I'm not listening to anybody else" part. And there are other members who are saying, I'm really interested in following these rules that say treat everyone well and treat everyone like they are a part of you. So I found that to be a really interesting tension. The one
It really
other
is.
one that I really wanted to get to is that illusion of control is something that tells us that people feel like they have more control over things than they really do, and they like to feel like they're in control, and they do things that make them feel in control. But a lot of theistic religions that believe in a higher power of some sort, tell people, remember that you're not the person in control. There is a higher power that is in control of things, and you should be subsuming your desire for control to this higher power. The bumper sticker version, of course, is let go and let God. You know, don't be in control so much.
So that then would be authority bias, right? That you trust in authority, and that authority is your higher power, essentially, right?
Yes, authority says people tend to blindly follow people in positions of power, and so religions that believe in a higher power are setting up sort of this ultimate authority that should be followed without question and sort of blindly trusted.
But it's also making the decisions for you. You know, that there's comfort in both in
Yes.
religious and non-religious settings of, okay, I don't have to think about this because someone greater, smarter, better has already thought of this for me, and so I can just kind of, jump in and be okay with it.
Absolutely. Yes.
So that brings me to this, and that is, how does this all fit in with overall morality? And I think the real question is, don't most people really pretty much know right from wrong? And if so, how does religion fit into that? Do they really need religion to be telling them what's right and wrong when, one would hope a preschooler would pretty much have that one at least basically down?
Yes, absolutely. And on the face of it, it does seem that way. We do have, as human beings, most of us, a pretty good sense of things that are right and things that are wrong, things that are hurtful are wrong, things that are helpful are good. However, there can be a lot of complication, especially in modern life, I think, with the sort of gray areas of, how much harm is being done, to whom, how many people are affected, all of those things that make morality and ethics complicated. And not everyone is in a place in their lives where they are able to, read moral philosophy texts or take an ethics course. And so I think it comes down to, in a lot of ways, what's easiest. Like we mentioned, authority. If there's somebody who's able, whether it's a higher power or a religious leader person who is in authority, who can say, this is the thing, that is often comforting and helpful to people. But I think also, and I there's several things, that complication bias, where people prefer easier answers. If you look at your religion and they have rules, that's a lot easier than
do it, right,
than trying to figure it all out on your own. Choice overload, when we have lots of choices, when we're trying to make a decision, the heuristic says we may become indecisive and often choose nothing at all. But there's the fact that choice overload is uncomfortable too for people. And so if there is a set of religious rules that you have, then the number of choices has been reduced, and you don't have to feel overwhelmed by, you can just go and say, there it is, right there. I know the rule is X. I will choose to do X. Certainty illusion comes in here too, really easily, because people like to feel sure. And when things get sticky with morality and ethics, and people feel like they're in that gray area, religion often gives them that certainty. I know the rule, I'm going to follow the rule, and I'm sure I'm doing the right thing because the rule is the rule. And I don't have to figure out what the moral gray area is in any of this. And I don't know if we have time for one more, but the other one why not? The other one I like here is diffusion of responsibility, which says humans take increasingly less personal responsibility as the number of people in the group increases.
Interesting.
So if you can say, I'm making this decision just like all of these other people before me and with me who are a part of my group, and they all say this is the right choice to make.
So many people can't be wrong, right?
That's right. And then I don't have to worry so much about feeling like I'm accountable in any way for this decision. I'm just doing the right thing as it has been told to me, and the responsibility is shared amongst all of these people. And I could probably, with some time, go on and find a whole lot more as it relates to morality. But it's not that we need religion to tell us what's right and wrong. It's that figuring out what's right and wrong can be hard, and religion can give us a way to make that easier.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Sarah. This has been very interesting. Thank you so much for joining us on this expert talk today.
Thank you.